The people of El Dorado County have always lived on top of naturally occurring asbestos. But now an aggressive development is unearthing asbestos, and that's when it becomes dangerous. Tonight, in a special report, News 10's George Warren shows us that despite an elaborate mapping project, the ground still contains some unpleasant surprises.
Naturally occurring asbestos can be found in most California counties. But aggressive development makes it especially worrisome here in western El Dorado County.
We're only concerned with asbestos when it gets disturbed. It's when it gets disturbed and fibers get into the breathing zone that it becomes problematic.
The concern's so great, the State Department of Conservation chose western El Dorado County to prepare the first and only localized map of naturally occurring asbestos.
It was an educational experience for us because a map like this just really hasn't been made before.
The blue zones on the map show areas where you're likely to find rock containing asbestos.
This blue is where you got a bigger chance of bumping into it.
The state map accurately predicted the asbestos discovery under Oak Ridge High School, which led to a nearly $3 million cleanup. The map also came reasonably close to predicting the asbestos beneath the new Hollow Oak subdivision, which now must continually monitor for airborne asbestos. But just as important are the broad white areas of the map identified as places that probably do not contain asbestos.
I called the developer. Yes, we do test. But
Laurie Muender owns a home in one of those white areas. And soil samples from her backyard show asbestos in concentrations similar to those found at Oak Ridge High School.
That's a lot. That's a lot of asbestos. That's not good. It's very distressing.
Asbestos has also been discovered at the site of the new Promontory Elementary School, also in the white zone, and across the Sacramento County line in Folsom's Empire Ranch, which includes the site of a new high school.
We see people building all across California.
Folsom residents gathered for a community meeting. Asbestos is now something they need to think about.
How do I figure out if in my house I have the asbestos-containing dust, and if I do, what does that mean?
In light of the surprises, the author of the asbestos map says it was never meant to be anything more than a general guide.
It just physically cannot show every occurrence of asbestos because some of these occurrences are down on the inch scale.
Despite the holes in the asbestos map, El Dorado County planners still use it to shape public policy. One proposed ordinance would require home sellers to disclose the potential for asbestos under their homes, but only if they live in a blue hot zone identified on the map. Given the best science available to us today, the only way to know if soil in a particular area contains asbestos is to test it. But you should be aware that even in 1 yard, concentrations can vary widely.
Maybe mostly the surface stuff.
2 weeks after Laurie Muender gathered a soil sample in her backyard, we returned and dug down about 6 inches in the same spot. The second sample contained about half the asbestos as the first.
Kids always take the shortcut, so you have to allow for that.
As alarming as the discovery of asbestos can be, the experience at Oak Ridge High School shows it doesn't have to be devastating.
The whole point is to just try to minimize disturbing the soil.
The federal government and the school district spent the summer covering areas where asbestos could be exposed. Bark and concrete cover traditional shortcuts.
It was just your native grasses, which most people call weeds.
Blacktop on the dirt track around the football field.
So we brought in, like I said, 2 feet of fill here.
Clean soil from Sacramento County covers the soccer and baseball fields. This, on a large scale, is the same thing homeowners can do in their own yards.
And it's, kind of up to each individual to decide what their personal comfort level is with that.
But in a booming area like this, the EPA concedes there's probably no way to avoid naturally occurring asbestos entirely.
What would your comfort level be?
I live in areas where there's earthquakes, so, you just have to get used to, what you're willing to accept.
In El Dorado Hills, George Warren, News 10.
You can find a list of accredited labs that can test soil for asbestos by going to our website, news10.net. You'll also be able to view both parts of George's special report.